Hi everyone, welcome to today's Earthster training session, the first one in 2024. So if this is the first time you see this year, Happy New Year's. And today I have many exciting news. But before we get into the news, I am Hajnalka Collado. Most of you know me by the name of Heini, and I'm a partner at Earthster. And today I will demo Earthster, how to use it, like on the basic level, and I will show you most of all the latest feature updates what we have since last December. And anytime you have a question, please post it in the chat area. If I'm able, I will answer. Otherwise, you will get the answer after the session at some point. And these training sessions we organize typically once a month. The next one will be in February. And until that, let's focus on today's session. So if you're joining us today the first time, Earthster is an LCA tool that lets you do LCAs at scale. And what do we mean by that? I'll show you in a moment, but the core idea behind that, you're able to build a model of your product or service in Earthster and use that as a sort of template for all your other products that belong to the same product category. And we make it super easy for you to be able to do variations of this one model. So you can, if you have thousands of variations of the model, you create one, adjust the other ones a tiny bit, and ta-da, you have 1,000 LCA. But let me show you how it looks. Here, now what you can see in front of you is Earthster. And this is one of my quite simple LCA models of a fruit pack, where the idea of the packaging is that it has about 250 grams of fruits with a tiny cardboard box in the bottom, and it's packed in a plastic film. And this one has parameters in it. So I'm going to show you what the parameters are. And as a disclaimer, parameters are at the moment still in beta phase, which means you can have access to them if you would like to, but you might encounter minor issues. That's why it's not available yet for everyone. But if you are interested, please send me a message or fill out the form that you can find in the event description, and we get it for you also. And you can send a message to heini@earthster.org. So, what is this in front of you? This is what we call a cycle. In other names, an LCA model of a product. And what I mentioned in this one, so this is a packed fruit that includes the production of the fruits, distribution, so taking the fruits into the stores, eventually eating it up and throwing away the waste. Let me show you how I modeled it. Inside production, I have included the fruit production itself and the packaging. So this way you're able to see where are the biggest impacts are coming from just by a few clicks around. And as you can see, they're actually surprisingly close to each other. So a bit of packaging has as much environmental impact as the fruit itself. And the reason why I modeled this model was actually that in the store, when I was shopping, I noticed that there was a packaging claiming to be 0 kilometer product, so locally produced, was packed. There were apricots packed. And next to it was the version where you can just take how much you want without packaging. And that was from about 250 kilometers away from where I live. And it really, really annoyed me, the packaging. So I had to know what is the environmental impact of it. And that's why you get to see this model. But Earthster is really flexible because you can model anything, whether it's a product, a service. You can even use it for modeling greenhouse gas accounting based models. I have a template actually for that. I can show if someone is interested in seeing. And so it's up to you to model. And what you use in modeling is what we call bundles. This is, for example, a bundle, and custom processes. So a bundle is a group of processes. So let's see what's inside here. Inside the fruit production bundle is 3 different processes, 3 inputs to my LCA model. One is called apricot production, which is the Ecoinvent dataset itself is called like that. So I did not rename it, but you're able to rename any of the inputs to best fit your model, because the idea behind Earthster is that it's not only for you to model your LCA, but also for others to be able to view it, see it, and understand it. With just one view, you're like, wow, okay. So if we want to improve our environmental impact, we need to clearly focus on our reducing the packaging, for example, in this model, as you can see. And depending on your results, you might come to different conclusions. Really important aspect for eco design, for example. So you might not always save in the place where you assume to save in our environmental impact. And that's why LCA is an awesome way of checking for real that where is the impact coming from. And exactly, these are bundles. And let's go back to it. So inside here, there's 3 different fruit productions. And this is the reason why I added here 3 different ones is because I'm using parameters in my model, which gives me the option to play around with my data and see what happens if the fruit is apricots, mandarins, or peaches. And to be able to model like this, you need to add all the 3 different alternatives, or how many alternatives you have, and add it to your model. And with the help of parameters, for example, let me show you this one. When we open it, the formula itself says that this one uses the fruit option called apricot, and I'm multiplying that with the fruit weight itself. The option parameters are considered as either 0 or 1. So what you're saying ultimately that, okay, this one, we are using apricots. And if you want to see the other one in mandarin production, we are not using the mandarin. That's why the result is 0. Let me show you how the parameters itself look like. You go here, and here's my list of parameters. And as you can see, I have the fruit option, which gives me the way of choosing it of those 3 different alternatives. I'm using this variable, so the parameter itself, in 6 different places. If I click here, I can see where I'm using them, and I'm even able to go and see, open the model itself and see where is it being used. Then, so this is super simple how to use parameters. My only advice, if you start using parameters, do not add a parameter for every single input you have. If you end up doing that, that means that probably did something wrong. Only add for the ones that can truly change. So in a way, it's a variable. So for example, transportation distance is an obvious good choice for parameters because, yeah, sometimes it's getting transported 250 kilometers, sometimes 500. So it makes sense to have it as a variable. And one of the new feature updates that this month we have is you're able to reorder your list. You might have a super long list and you want to see it in a certain order. So now what you do is click on these 3 lines and start dragging it where you want it to be. And ta-da! Now it's on position number 3. This is one of the new updates. Let's go back to basics of Earthster. I think today I'm not showing you basics because we started with parameters, but I'll show you more. So this is a bundle. Bundle has different type of inputs. These are flow processes that are added, so Ecoinvent processes in my model. Then let me show you. Do I have any custom processes, what they are? And if not, I will show you when we are making the bulk uploads. I have a cool model for that. While I'm looking for a custom process that in my model I don't have, I'm sorry for not remembering this. Any questions, please post them in the chat and I answer as much as I'm able to. And let's make this interactive. So when you are curious of something, please post it there. Okay, let's show. So this is Earthster. Wait, doesn't like to zoom when I'm streaming. I'm not even zooming, but moving around. So what I would like to show you, exactly what you're seeing here. So I'm now logged into my browser. Earthster is browser-based. Any changes you do is saved automatically, always. So for example, let's imagine we would want to, instead of using apricots, we go ahead and go into the parameters and we are going to say here that we are going to use mandarins. I'm going to choose from here the current option. I'm saying mandarins. I save it. And now everything will get updated, as you saw, already recalculated in an instant. We go back here where it's being used. Let's go here, apricot production. Here you can see that now the apricot is 0 and the mandarin has a value. And everything, their environmental impact is recalculated already. What you're seeing now is everything in climate change. With the default Earthster subscriptions, you get access to 5 impact categories, including damage to, all these are from Recipe 2016. Damage to human health, damage to resource availability, damage to ecosystems, climate change, which is the CO2 equivalent, and water use. But we have available many more. You click here on the other. If you have a full Ecoinvent license, you have access to EF 3.1, which is the environmental footprint from EU, IPCC, Recipe, all the other mid and endpoints, and even tracing. For example, let's open Tracy. You click on it first and then choose the impact category that you're curious to see. And remember, this is with a full Ecoinvent license, so that you need separately. You're able to buy it through us or straight from Ecoinvent. And if you have one, please let us know. We can activate it for free for you in Earthster. So you're able to use your existing license already. And what happens here if I choose now, for example, let's choose freshwater ecotoxicity. You click on it. You say that, yes, you impact. Now, this takes a bit longer than all the other aspects in Earthster. And when it has recalculated everything, it will open a new tab. And you're able to view the impacts on that impact category. And today, I'm not having the patience to wait for it. So I'll show you, for example, water use. You change the impact, now it opened it. As you can see. So now what you see is live view of the cycle in the particular impact category that we chosen. And you see everything like this. Wait. Then let's go back to water use. And yeah. So 5 impact categories in the default subscriptions. If you need more, you need to have a full Ecoinvent license. Then let's add a new process, a new input to your model. You click Add New. Our search remembers what you searched last time. You can just go ahead and empty everything and you start searching from the entire database. I always recommend to use multiple keywords. The search is awesome because it searches the keywords from the title and from the description the dataset has. For example, this one is an Ecoinvent dataset. You can see it here. It is the latest version, so 3.10, which is part of our feature updates today. So I'm super happy to announce that we have already 3.10 available. So now when you're modeling your cycles and you add a new Ecoinvent dataset, that's going to be with the latest version. And here you can see what Ecoinvent has added, what information they have provided for that particular dataset. And you can use any parts for searching for the process itself. And here you have a bit more information. And let me show you, for example, what should I, Apple. Let's look for Apple. Is there any? Yep, there is market for Apple production in different regions, all these. And when you end up with these kind of results, what I always recommend is click the info button here. You click on it, you see what that data set includes, whether it's the one that you're looking for. What is really important with the Ecoinvent processes is check what is the product. Sometimes the process name is different than the product itself. So from in here, you know exactly that, okay, the output of this process is apples, which is like, exactly, that's what we want. You check everything that it's, yay, what you are looking for. And if you're still not sure or just curious to know where is the impact coming from, you can click here, view as a cycle. It opens a new tab. And now what you see in front of you is the Ecoinvent dataset itself. We can check out and see where is the impact coming from. And doesn't want to open the drawer for me for some reason. Now it did. Oi, this is the reason. I have never seen an input or a process in our database that has this many processes. This has 261. So the view doesn't look good, but you are able to view it from here. All the different inputs that where is the environmental impact coming from for making apples. And if we go here, this is the biggest one. Market for trellis system. Interesting. And you're able to explore the data. Now that I hovered over it, it opened this label. If I click the explore button, I can see where is the impact of making a trellis system coming from. And it's still the wood itself. Let's see, let's explore a bit more. And like this, you're able to dig into the data. And this type of exploration is designed for you to be able to choose better data. You get to see straight away that, okay, where is the impact coming from? It gives you some insight that where you could be improving on your product. So if you are, let's say you made ambitious goals to reduce your CO2 impact, this would help you to focus your effort on the right things to improve, because we are showing you transparently what is the data including, not just saying that, okay, 5 tons of CO2, you're like, it doesn't tell you anything. But when you know that this is where it's coming from and you're able to influence your supply chain and even ask data from them, you can do that through Earthster, you are able to make truly beneficial environmental impacts. So good impact for the environment. How to say it? Weird way of saying it. So I need exactly. Another thing that helps you search for the right data is our genre tags. Let's search for steel instead so that you can see more type of tags. Material product is the process itself is something physical that you are able to add as an input. We have a tag called processing, and all these help you to choose better. For example, let's imagine I'm looking for a process that is somehow related to modifying steel. What I'm clicking is processing. Here, I'm going to take the one that has a check mark, and I'm saying that show me only inputs with the processing tag. Now you can see that it totally reordered everything, and now you're getting easier. It's easier to find for you the process that you're looking for. For example, sheet rolling. And then if you are not familiar with these kind of industrial processes, you read the comments and you're like, oh yes, exactly. This is what what I need. You add it to your cycle. Let's say here, add process. You define how much of that input you need in your cycle. Let's imagine we would need it 0.1. As you see, it recalculates. You can use either commas or dots for the decimal points. You can mix and match, and it will calculate it. So it's optimal for both types. I myself like using the commas. And that's it. We have added an input into our cycle. Same thing goes when you are adding a custom process. So instead of clicking add new, you click here and you click add custom process or a bundle. Let's add a custom process. Let's say we have a component. We're going to call it component. And here, what I'm going to build is, it's kind of like a custom process lets you make a recipe where you're saying that I'm going to need 5 of these same components, and each one of them is built like this. So here in the info tab, you change all information per one, and it's up to you to decide what, per 1 kilo, per 1 unit. And in this case, I would say per 1 component. Then you add the processes just like a moment ago we were adding. Let's even take steel. We take out the processing. We say chromium steel, add process. We specify that for 1 component, we need only 10.1 kilos. And then you add more and more recipes, whatever you need for creating that particular component. Let's see, for example, here we add again the steel processing itself. For example, this one. And yep, we're going to add the same 10.1 kilos to make it the same. As you can see, now I have 2 inputs in my custom process. Now what happens next? Custom processes are awesome also for playing around with your data. Now you can see that for creating 1 component, a weird one, is 1 kilo of cubic meter of water. So let's go back to climate change. You see it in CO2 equivalents. People are more used to seeing that impact category. We have 68 kilos of CO2 equivalent. But like I mentioned, we need 5 of these. You just say 5 and it multiplied it for you. You can use custom processes also for conversions, really good for allocations. For example, let's imagine we would need to allocate part of the component in production. Let's say we duplicate it. And another part we put in transport distribution at this time. Let's see, like this. What you do is go ahead and move it. So you're able to move it to any stages, any bundles, anywhere in the cycle. And in this case, when you're moving an input, you're moving inside the cycle. In the workspace, you're able to move your cycles around to different workspaces. I'll show you it in a moment. You stick it into distribution. That's it. It's there. And instead of, if it would be allocation, instead of saying 1 component, you could say percentage of the impact. For example, when you have 2 outputs of the same activity. For example, a cow. You know, you butcher a cow, you get leather out of it and meat. And this way you're able to do allocations easily. Okay, any questions? Let me peek into LinkedIn because I might not be seeing it in my system. But no questions at the moment. Okay. Then, now you know how a cycle looks like, what we mean with a cycle. This thingy on the side, when you click on any of the impact circles, when it opens, we call this the drawer. So that the drawer is the place where you build your models, and you can move things around, you can duplicate, you can copy. You're even able to have multiple selections, and you can move them or duplicate everything or delete. So this is useful to remember that you're able to do bulk edits on your inputs. Then I show you how to explore data, not only on the view mode, but you're able to do it here from your own models inside there. You click around, and then eventually you get to see explore, and then it fetches everything from the database itself, like this. And that's where the impact is coming from. And then the juicy part of why we have parameters in our models is to be able to do scenarios. As you can see, when you have parameters in your cycle, there's a button here under the total impact saying scenarios. You click here, and this opens a new view. It looks like the other drawers, but this is its own view that doesn't let you edit when you are in scenario mode. What it lets you do is play around with the data with the parameters. So you only see the available parameters in the cycle, and you get to change them. Let's imagine, so we say now that I want to see again apricot. What's the impact of that? Looks really similar. What if we have much longer distance? Let's say 2500, updates the inputs, you play around, all this, and then you see it live, what's happening to the environmental impact. And at the moment, you're not able yet to save it as its own cycle, but really soon that feature is coming, that you build a scenario. You're like, okay, this is for customer A, and his version has red color with this amount of plastic, and customer B has with blue color and less amount of plastic. And you're able to save those there for them as an own cycle and share the environmental impact with them. And the cool part with scenarios is that even your salespeople can use it. It's this simple. You have your scenarios, they move them around according to the specifications, what the customer is asking for. And then you say, done, give me the report. And you create a PDF, and you have, the environmental impact, or the customer also. What you can also do is add this scenario to a comparison. Look, if I click here, it crashes on me. Yeah, this is why the cycles, the parameters are in beta at this point. So I'm not going to show you that. I'll show you one that exists already, comparisons. And now that I came out of the cycle, I get to show you the latest feature update related to workspace navigation. Just recently, you navigated between different workspaces from here, from the left side panel, if you had more than one. Now we have moved that here. It says change workspace. You click there. Wait, I clicked too fast. Like this. You get to see all the workspaces you have. As you see, we have many. So this feature was really, really needed. In the bottom, you find the button to create a new one. You're able to search for your workspaces. For example, if I want to search for my coffee workspace or my demo, you start writing demo, and it finds any that has the name demo in it. Makes it faster to switch between if you have many. Another way, what you can do is reorder them. You click on this icon, and you can order them by name, role, for example, that is based on, are you an admin, an editor, or a viewer of a workspace? For example, here I have many viewer roles. Or the numbers of users you're looking for. You remember that the project you have is the one with the most users, and you're like, oh yeah, it's this one. Great, let's go in there. What I wanted to show is, yes, my existing comparisons. I have some scenarios saved, and that should open it like the same one that I've been doing, the packed fruits with the different scenarios. When you open it, this is how a comparison looks like, and looks like that all these scenarios are really similar. In front of the name, this icon, the circle with the 3 lines, always means in Earthster that that's a menu item. There is something to choose from. You click here and you get either settings or descriptions. And I would say go to the settings, and here you get to set up your comparison. So what are you comparing with each other? For example, in this case, all of these are comparing different scenarios of the same cycle. But I could add here any other cycle that I have access to from the database. For example, I click here. This is the same search as you saw before. And if I would want to add for market for apricot, why not? You just click add cycle. We also add the peach like this. When you have selected all the ones you want to add, you click compare. And it updates your comparison. Now, what's important to remember is that check the functional units your comparison, your references have. Because, for example, the ones I added here is peach production is per kilo, but my cycles are based on portion. So, for example, I could say per pack, and then it updates the graph. And depending on how you have set up your cycle, you have available more production units. Let me show you what I mean. This is something that I have not mentioned before. So in Earthster, you're able to do, you can add various production units or functional units to your same model. What's important to remember here is all these need to be equivalent to each other. For example, in this case, I'm saying 1 pack, 4 portions. What would be smart here to add as a production unit or as a functional unit, could be both. We could say 250 grams, like this. And what I'm saying when I have set this up, that everything in my model is set up based on that it's 1 pack of fruits, 250 grams of fruit itself, and then it's enough for 4 portions. And depending on your model, you set it up differently. When you create a new cycle, the system asks you to add 1 production unit, but you can add additional ones. So these you can add later on, as long as you have already the one. And it suggests you by default 1 unit, if you don't know anything better. Okay, so these are more or less basics of Earthster. What I want to show now is the bulk uploads. That's one of the feature updates we have for now. Bulk uploads and replication lets you upload data, for example, from bill of materials, any other sources that you're able to create a table format from. And how do you do that? When you have the feature activated, it's only available for users who has at least a business subscription, business or corporate. And if you are interested, let us know. I'll show you, for example, you can contact straight away simo@earthster.org or me, Heine@earthster.org, if you're interested, and I'll connect you with Simo and Daniel related to this feature. And it's a really cool one. So how do you get started with it? What you need to do first is create a cycle that you're going to use as your template for replicating it. In this example, it's a silly one. It's making different coffee recipes. imagine you have a cafe and you just want to know the different coffee versions, for example, cappuccino and all those things. How is the environmental impact on espresso versus a cappuccino? You create your first model as you would normally. So you take your bill of materials, you start adding inputs, you model it, and you're happy with the results. Here is a simple one, for example. I have added in the model an espresso, a custom process. So I'm saying for 1 shot of espresso, we need this amount of coffee. These are super raw estimates and it's green beans, so these should be toasted, but I made it quickly. Then we also added frothed milk. In there, you have cow's milk and electricity. And I'm going to show you how to duplicate one, because we are going to add also normal milk, because in some coffee recipes, you add like milk without frothing. When you have the custom process, you create a duplicate. It's going to take a straight copy. It opens it. I'm going to rename this to milk. Wait, like this. I'm going to say milk. All information is for 1 milliliter. Then in this case, because we are not going to warm it up, we are going to take out the electricity. It's going to be cold milk. We delete. We leave only the market for cow milk, not cow. And now you might have noticed one little thing in there. An important thing when you're building your template is you are going to mark with a hashtag any input that you want to be able to update with the upload file. Look, in the case of espresso, in the description tag, I have added hashtag espresso. Same thing goes with frothed milk. In here, there is hashtag frothed milk with the underscore. That's important to be one word in a way from the system's perspective. And in milk, we need to do the same thing. So we go in here in the info section, we write hashtag milk. You can add here any description. This is meant to be called milk. And that's it. The only thing that the system cares for is to find a word with a hashtag. And then it knows that, okay, oh, this is something I need to update. Now, when you have built a model, let's say this is ready. We have 3 inputs. We have all the coffee and the 2 different types of milks. What you need to have is a spreadsheet with your data, what you want to replicate. I'll show you that. Here is a Google Sheet, a simple one. The first column is called name, and this is going to be the name of the cycle. When it replicates the cycle that I showed you a moment ago, it will create a new version with a new name, whatever is added here. Here are the hashtags that you saw a moment ago. Hashtag espresso. In the espresso version, there is 1 espresso and no milk. So those are zeroed out. And steamed milk, there's no coffee, and there's 100 milliliters of milk. This is up to you how you set it up. And the beauty of this is that you can use your existing bill of materials, add the hashtags columns wherever you want inside there. Make sure one is called a name, and that's it. Use that one. Now, the only thing to be aware of is that if by accident you have added the same hashtag twice, like this, it will take the last one. So it first goes through the espresso one, does it. Then it goes through milk, frothed milk, and espresso again. So always the last one applies. And that's how it creates it. But we are going to delete this. So we have our upload file. Then let's go back here. Where is let me close the tabs. This one, the coffee recipes. When you have the template, you go to the settings, the cycle settings, here, the second option from here. You click here. Next to the export cycle, what you're able to, in Earthster, I can show you. So you are able to export cycles based on a basic PDF, a CSV report, or a JSON file, which is good for when you have a system that's able to talk computer language. But we want to replicate this, not export this cycle. You click here on the tiny arrow. It opens the drop-down option and it says replicate in bulk. You take this, you drag, you either open from your own, what's that? So, wait. Let me stop sharing for a tiny moment so that you don't see everything I do in my computer. That's not a good idea. I have already created the coffee CSV. So I have a file. Yes, this one. Then I go here, go back here. Now we can start sharing. Look, I'll drag in there the CSV file. If I manage here, you upload the file, click upload and replicate. And what it does, now it tells me that it's being processed. And if we go out of the cycle, look, ta-da! We have in seconds many new cycles with the updated information. So let's check out, for example, cappuccino. What do we have in here? Cappuccino, we have one espresso shot, 60 milliliters of frothed milk, and 60 milliliters of normal milk, just like our recipe set so that it would be. So this is bulk uploads, and now when you have already this model, what you can do is do bulk updates. You modify the same file. So you have your file, you modify anything here that needs to be, and then you say update all my cycles. There, the important thing to remember is that it searches the cycle based on the name. If it doesn't have one, it just skips it and ignores totally. So anything that it does not find in the exact same workspace with the same name, it ignores it. And when you're using this function, I highly recommend that you have its own workspace, just in case you made a mistake and suddenly you want to delete 100 cycle because your CSV file was big. It's better to have it in one workspace. It's easier to find. Because at the moment, we don't have the option of bulk deleting. Not yet. Soon there will be. So updating happens the same way, but instead of inside the cycle, what you do is in the workspace, you click here, update in batch. You do the same thing, drag in there the file, and then it updates everything with the right name. So for example, now if I would upload the file, it would totally ignore this cycle. It wouldn't touch it. And remember, when you're updating, only the data that has a hashtag gets updated. So inside here, there is espresso. The hashtag description always should be added in the description field of the input. So custom process in here. Any flow process in here if you would want to update particular flow process. And that's it. Super simple, really powerful and simple. All you need is a CSV file, or all you need is a table that you save it as a CSV file. And it doesn't matter whether it's Excel, Google, anything, just a table format. Okay, any questions at the moment? I think there might be one. Yes, I do have a question. Here, Carl is asking, so if I understand correctly, you need to have all of the components / processes with hashtags available in the workspace. I would say in the cycle. Let me show you. So when you're replicating, you're taking one cycle, in this case, coffee recipes template. This is what I'm saying, that this is my master template and I want copies of this. And inside that cycle, you add the hashtags. Anywhere in your model, doesn't matter, as long as it's inside the description field. And the description field can have any other text, doesn't matter. It will work anyway. And you add the hashtags, then you have your CSV file with the cycle names. So these are the new cycles created when you first replicate. These are the hashtags that you want to be updated. And that's it. So it will make a copy. So for example, here you can have inputs that do not have a hashtag. It's fine. It's just going to copy it and adds it to the new cycle as it was. So you don't need to have hashtags for everything, only for the ones that you want to update. And you click the replicate. It creates all those cycles with the variations that you have specified here. And the same thing happens when you're updating your cycles. It takes the name of the cycle, goes in there, updates all the one with the hashtags, and that's it. And that's done. Then goes to the next cycle, updates all those inputs, and the next one by one, it goes through and updates everything. If there's any error in it, it will give you an error message that, sorry, something was wrong. For example, when you have two cycles with the same name, because it doesn't know which one to update, it will just tell you that, so solve your issue first and then do this again. So only one cycle with the same name should be in the workspace, but otherwise it updates like machine style, that one by one row per row. And yeah, this is how you do. And then Carl is saying, exactly, it does not remember anything. So once you have uploaded this file, you clicked replicate, that's it. That file is, from Earthster's perspective, lost forever. So you have it, of course, on your computer, as long as you delete it, but it takes it, uploads it, and that's it. So anytime you need to upload a new one, you just go here and say update in batch or the replicating one. So you can create new cycles, replicate them, make new versions, and it takes it with the same setup as before. Okay. Yes, that's a really good point from Carl. So that you can use it for updates, not to create cycles from scratch. Yes, you can do that. And especially when you have variations. Let's say you are modeling different packagings, you have 5 different plastic materials, you can do it like this. Another way of doing it is you would go ahead and say, okay, I have my cappuccino cycle. You go here, you say duplicate. This does the same thing. You have now a copy. Start modifying here anything you want. You say, this is 2 shots, and that's it. You rename the cycle. When you click on the name again, it will open straight away the settings. You can say cappuccino with double shot. And that's it. Now you have a variation of your cycle. And for example, this simple model does not have any parameters. So I could add here also parameters in this one if I would want to. At the moment, you can't upload the parameters yet. You can't use that. But otherwise, and this is another way of using, so kind of like doing LCAs at scale. It's so simple to just make a copy, edit it, and that's it. You have another version. And of course, you can make comparisons, do all sorts of things to see where is the environmental impact coming from. Okay. Any other question? We have 11 minutes left. Let me, meanwhile, while you're thinking of questions, I'm going to go through my cheat sheet of what I needed to show. I needed to show the replicate and update cycles in bulk. That's what we went through a moment ago. Then a major thing was restyling the workspace navigation, which is here. You click here, change workspace, and you can go to any other one. You click on the name, and it goes to that workspace. And workspaces in Earthster are kind of like collaboration zones. Each workspace has its own set of users that, as an admin user, you're able to decide who gets to be in the workspace, who gets to be a viewer, an editor, and organize your work in workspaces. In another way, like, so you can call it collaboration zones. Also, it's kind of like a folder system. So you can just say, like in Google Drive, you say that this folder, these 5 people have access, and only with view rights. This is a good example. It's like, I want my team to see my cycles, but I do not want them to touch any of my demo cycles, just in case. Then we have a lot of different workspaces where everyone has, for example, admin rights, because why not? So like this, you're able to organize your work within your teams and make sure that only the right people have access to them. Because, for example, an editor and an admin can edit, delete, create new cycles, even at the same time. So let's go back here, for example, my demos. If I'm working on this cycle, my colleague logs in, goes in here, we can work on the same model at the same time. And you're able to do it. The only thing that might look now and then funny, that of course there is sudden updates. So not sure if it's a smart thing to do, but you're able to. And if you do model on the same cycle, just in case, I recommend divide the work. That okay, you get the production, I get distribution, to make sure that you don't do the work twice. And that's one way of collaborating inside Earthster. Then another way of collaborating in Earthster is through what we call suppliers and customers. A supplier, from Earthster's perspective, is another organization who is giving you data. They are giving you their LCA data, and the customer is the one that you are giving your data to them. You're able to decide how much, what level of the cycle gets shared. So for example, here, this one is marked fully public, which means that anything here inside the cycle, no matter where it is, it's visible for anyone I share it with. And since it's fully public, if we go here into sharing settings, here you can see that all levels sharing with the public. Now, if I click here to get the link, I can share this even on Twitter, and anyone would see this model without having to be an Earthster user. Super good when you want to go full transparent in your sustainability reporting, for example. You say, this is the model of our product, this is how it looks, there's the link, go and check it out. And they get the same immersive way of checking out the environmental impact, because reports are boring. These circles are amazing. I really think so. They give you environmental insights in just a tiny view. You're just like, for example, in this model, this is a computer mouse, and you can see that the biggest impact is coming from the use phase of the mouse. So if you want to improve the environmental impact of for the full life cycle of the computer mouse, focus on reducing electricity consumption in the mouse's lifetime. Look, in here, this is a super cool example. It consumes more electricity while it's on standby, waiting for you to click it, than while you're clicking around. So if you add any component into the computer mouse that will turn it off automatically, let's say after 5 minutes, this impact circle will reduce a lot. and you can improve your environmental impact. This is why LCA is awesome. I highly recommend it to everyone. But I assume that's why you're here, because you're interested in LCA. Okay, we have 5 minutes left, and I think I barely mentioned anything related to it that we have now. Ecoinvent 3.10. This is super cool. So the latest data that Ecoinvent has is already available in Earthster. It's not in most of the other LCA tools. And they have, in the webinar I participated with them, they said that there's a lot of new regions, more nuanced data, for example, more electricity related data. And one exciting news that I heard that's worth sharing is that they have remodeled waste management. So before, maybe they bundled together a lot of data into one block. Now it's broken down so that you're able to explore with Earthster even more that, okay, where is the impact really coming from? And all these changes made it up to 23,000 data sets. Exciting. I would say check out what there is, what has changed. There's a lot of new data. And if you have your models already done, for example, this one, what you do is, look, next to the name, it says here 15 updates. You click there, it opens the section called data sources. Here you see where's all your data coming from. And as you can see, I have 14 processes from Ecoinvent. If you click on it, you can see what's in there. And it shows it says everything has a new version, of course. New version of the database. And this was created longer time ago. And it also shows if you have added any of your own cycles, for example, because here Earthster means that it's within our own organization. And if you have any data from suppliers, you would go here and you would see here the list of suppliers that who has already given you data, who hasn't, and is it up to date. So data sources, then you go here, you see, if you know that, okay, I don't need to check into it more, I just want to make sure I have the latest updates, you click here, update all, it updates it, you reload the page, and it has updated the environmental impact, everything. You go back here, now you can see that what we have left is 2 deprecations. What are they? When a process has been deprecated, that means that it no longer exists in the newer version of the database. For example, what I heard, there's several processes that the industry does not use that processing method anymore. That means that there's no need for that dataset to exist. And it's marked as deprecated. What you do is you click here, click to swap. The system suggests you an alternative. Sometimes you're this lucky that you get only one suggestion, which means that in the new version, the Ecoinvent researchers have said that, okay, this process is now this one. So you can swap it. And if you're saying that, oh, yes, this is still what I'm looking for, you just click add process and it swaps it with it. But you might encounter ones that it shows you, let's say, 20 results, but in reality, there's 100 more. And electricity is one of those that you're more likely to find it there. So there's some suggestions, but maybe a new region doesn't show up that you're looking for. Let's say there used to not be Finland, and now in the new one is. And even if it's in here, it doesn't suggest it, there might be. So what I recommend is you to search. You say whatever you're looking for, waste cardboard, and then you'll find all the other different potentials that your process was looking for. And you just click again, add process, and then it swaps it with that one. Sometimes it's worth going through if there's new regions available. Then we have 1 minute left. So that's how you update your data sources. Always keep them up to date, I recommend. If you like to have legacy data that you want to see that, okay, in 2023, this was an environmental impact, this is this year. I recommend you to make a copy and keep the old one as it is and update the newer version. That way you're able to even create comparisons and see at what has happened. How has the database changed? Okay, that's it for today. Thank you all for the active discussion. If you have more questions, just put them in the chat. We'll answer later on. And if there's no questions, the next session will be on February, in about a month. If I remember correctly, it was on the 21st. You find it already in our LinkedIn page. Another thing I would like to still point out, if you go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@Earthster, the lower, what is this called? So dash LCA, you'll find us and you'll find all the older training videos, but you're also able to view in LinkedIn other sorts of demos and shorter tutorials how to use Earthster. It's really useful when you're getting started. And in addition to the videos, more resources, what you have inside Earthster is you can go to the documentation, and there you have all sorts of articles to get you started and get you forward. And if for any reason you are stuck, what you should always do is click on the question mark, click help me, it opens a chat section, and you send a message. And we answer when we are available. Thank you all for an awesome session. See you at the latest in a month. And if you want the bulk updates, just let us know and we'll get you set it up for you. See you next month.